Hello, and welcome back, gamers. 𝐂𝐚𝐭 is Katawa 9 truly cursed? Perhaps. No, we're not moving to Twitch. Hello, hello, hello. So, to recap the story thus far, we have seduced Lily, and then she seduced us several times. We went on vacation to her family's summer home in Hokkaido. Remove the pin? Oh. Oh. I thought I did. Because on... Well, now I guess if I take a screenshot, it doesn't matter. But on my end, I did it on the Firefox pop-out chat. I don't know why it's stuck. It's been there the whole time. Well, that is aggravating, but oh well. Double jump scares mid-description. Truly a curse series. Hello. So, to recap, yeah. So we went to her family's summer home, or maybe not summer home, but vacation home out in Hokkaido. We had a lovely time there, and now we are back at school, and we are trying to figure out what we want to do with the rest of our lives. We're thinking maybe we'll become a teacher. And that ties into what Lily wants to do, because she also wants to be a teacher. So, heck yeah, heck yeah. Heck yeah, heck yeah. Let's just get on into it, comfy gamers. But how dare you play RuneScape again? I escaped the game 20 years ago and you dragged me back into it. Now I have 99 smithing and just can't stop the GP grind. Heck yeah. It's been a while since I played RuneScape. I had like stuff commissioned for it that I really wanted. And it just never happened. And I guess that kinda demotivated me a tiny bit. But I shall eventually pick it up. There's a lot of streamers playing OSRS though. Right now, I feel like. So, if you miss me playing it, there's plenty of other people to watch. Chief Jumping Fox, thank you. It's been so long since the last time, I think we should just restart. My god. Alright. It's really coming back. It's really coming back. It is really coming back. Alright. Move chat over here. OSRS is on the comeback. And... oh wait. Yeah? It should just... No! Load! Okay. When's the last time we played? May 24th. June, July. Oh god. It has been a while. Fridays, man. Alright. Actually, the last one was kind of bad. I wonder if I should go to the one before it? I don't know. This is not saying you. Feel like it's been 20 a year? Because I started coughing really bad, but maybe it's fine. Up to you. Wouldn't hurt. Blue water, is it bothering you guys? I'll move it away. Alrighty. And I am going to hide chat while I read, so I don't get distracted, and I will, as usual, read super chats during choices or like before big moments. I see Barbara, thank you for the 10 gift PPs. Thank you, thank you. Alrighty. This is strange. Oh, that's too much reverb. This is strange. That single thought has graced my mind a countless number of times since my life has began. It feels like an easy way to discard a troubling question, As if simply labeling something with those 3 words will make it go away. Or at least, not worth thinking about any further. My life before my heart attack feels more blurry every time I try to remember it, and my mind struggles to keep up with all the events suddenly happening around me since. I heard somewhere that this is what it feels like to be left stranded in a country with only the most basic understanding of the local language. Indeed, when I think about it, that seems a marvelously apt analogy for what's happened to me. But such situations are also supposed to make you very capable in that language very fast, as you're forced to learn it in order to survive. Put another way, the situation becomes sink or swim. I wonder if I've really managed to swim after all this time. The exams are stressing me out a lot, even though they're finally coming to an end. But I have remained in Muto's favor, and I have some sort of direction for my future now. But I keep using that stupid, meaningless phrase. This is strange. It's really loud. There we go. Let's check. Oh, I'm so good for this. Okay. It really is amazing how fast one comes to accept being surrounded by people with sometimes incredibly jarring disabilities and conditions. So much so that I really wonder why I feel like such a foreigner. It certainly isn't for lack of socialization or friends. I've come to know most of my classmates on first name terms, and I know a few others around school. Whether they're missing an arm or a leg, the students here are just like anyone else of their age. I can navigate the halls that I once lost myself in with an ease I'd not expected to ever have, thanks to the school's logical layout, and can engage my teachers in a comfortable discussion. Why am I adding so many random words? I swirl around gently the tea in my cup, the reflected image of my face becoming distorted by the moving liquid. This is strange. I used to hate drinking tea. Maybe I'm thinking too much. The familiar sound of china rattling from a teacup touching an accompanying saucer rings out. Is something the matter? Don't worry, it's nothing. I take a long sip of the tea in front of me as the girls do. Just whiling away the time in Lily's room, sipping the tea with her and Hanako. It feels familiar, almost nostalgic. So, how's your work in the newspaper club going, Hanako? I want to know too. It sounds like it would be quite interesting. Hanako's face turns down at the attention placed upon her, though her smile belies the fact that she genuinely likes being the center of interest for the two of us.
It's good. I think I'm getting better at it. Naomi and a couple of her friends handle most of the jobs, getting stories and stuff. I just do the computer things like putting the stories together and getting it printed. It's nice since I can sit and concentrate.
I see Lily's low-tech nature isn't shared by Hanako. While sitting in a room compiling other people's newspaper articles into documents doesn't strike me as overly outgoing, it is heartening to see her widening her circle of friends. Baby steps, I guess. It's probably a bit much to be expecting her to become a socialite like Lily. How are you finding Naomi? I've heard she can be quite troublesome at times. And Lily's going into her mothering mode over Hanako. Letting go of her is something she's had to learn. Hanako scratches her cheek, thinking on her answer.
Naomi's nice. She's a bit loud sometimes, and a bit tiring. But she's really helpful. Her friends are really nice too.
That's wonderful to hear, Hanako. I'm glad you found a source of such enjoyment. Lily's smile is warm and genuine, but I can sense a touch of wistfulness to it as well. Hanako seems to miss that entirely, but I don't think for a second that I'm imagining it. I suppose it's because I've slowly come to pay more and more attention to everything going on around me, With things seemingly happening faster and faster, it feels like I'll miss something if I'm not as observant as possible. With the exams, my newfound love life, trying to fit in some studying regarding my options for college and university, and my heart condition applying the brakes on everything at irritatingly random times, my brain's been in overdrive recently. It makes me appreciate the rare quiet times such as these. I guess this is why Lily came to appreciate her weekly walks to the convenience store and her tea parties with Hanako. Despite her like of being surrounded by others, they gave her a moment of peace in a chaotic and busy life. Thank God the exams are over, eh? The comment draws an earnest chuckle from both of the girls. It seems like everybody's been a lot happier since the exams ended last week. So, what are you doing for the summer holidays, Hanako? I quickly count the days in my head. Today's Monday and school finishes on Saturday. 5 days to go, after all.
I was thinking of traveling just around a bit. There's a lot of places I want to see, and I think I have enough money to pay for the bus and train rides. Naomi and one of the other girls in the newspaper club said they might come along too.
Her look indicates she's given the matter quite a lot of thought. I'm kinda surprised that she's contemplating something like this. It seems she's really become intent on striking out on her own. Is there anywhere in particular you're thinking of going?
I was thinking that Kyoto sounds nice. I think I'll try to go to a few places though.
Lily nods in approval, happy with Hanako's plans. While I cast my eyes to Lily, I refrain from asking her the same question. She's been evasive with her plans for the future for a long time now, but I never seem to get a good time to broach the subject alone with her. Every time it comes up in conversation, it feels like she's either unsure of herself or simply dodging the question. It's troubling. Be sure to call sometime while you're out and about. I gave you my number before, right? Hanako gives a quick nod, a happy smile on her face. It's strange to see how happy people seem to become when they have a goal to work towards. Yuko seems to brighten whenever her university aspirations are brought up, and now Hanako is just the same. So why do I still feel this uncertainty? And why Lily, too? Relationships really can be irritatingly troublesome at times.
What time is it?
It takes me a second to remember that Lily's clock doesn't have any visual feedback. I really should know, given how many times I've been in her room. Nevertheless, I take my watch from my bag and quickly check it. The reason for her asking becomes clear. It's about 20 past 10, nearly curfew. Hanako rises to her feet, dusting herself off and neatening her gown after doing so.
Jade, better be going then. Good luck.
Good night, Lily.
Peace out.
Sleep well, Hanako. See you tomorrow. With that, she walks to the door and quietly makes her exit. Silence. This seems to be happening more and more between Lily and me. Recently, after a few seconds, I finally find something to talk about. Oh, yeah. I talked to Muto on Friday and finally checked out some guides on college and how to apply for it. That's good news. If you're going to be applying for colleges, I assume you have some idea in mind of what you might do in the future? I think I've settled on becoming a science teacher. It's going to take a while to get through university and everything to be qualified, but I think it'll be worth it. Lily's face brightens considerably at the news. I suppose, with her wish to become a teacher, she's delighted I take the same kind of path. So you've decided on a career of teaching. I think that path suits you most excellently, Hisao. I smile and nod. This time, even if I know she can't see me doing so, I know she feels it. I imagine Muto would have taken to the news well. That's one word for it. Hey, Lily. Yes? I know you want to be a teacher, but for a second, I wonder whether I should really ask her the question on my mind. But that's quickly brushed aside by the fact that this is rather late to have second thoughts. Surely you don't still think I'd be offended by something regarding my blindness? Her accusing tone is betrayed by her grinning face, amused at my awkwardness in raising the topic. Some things never change. Good point, I guess. I was just thinking whether or not being blind would be a hindrance, what with your ambitions to become a teacher and all. She looked mildly surprised before giving the question some thought. I refuse to think she's never actually pondered this issue before. I wonder... 𝐂𝐴, could you close your eyes for a moment? Okay. Raising an eyebrow, I do as she requests. I have no idea what she has in mind, and my questions only increase as I peek out from one eye. Taking the black ribbon she usually wears in her hair from the cabinet beside her bed, she advances towards me while running it through her fingers to remove any stray hairs remaining on the piece of cloth. I suddenly click on to her intentions as I feel the black strip making contact with my face, wrapping around my head and over my eyes. What exactly is this for? It's a little test, 𝐂𝐴. Since you seem to be wondering, I'll let you see things as I do for a time. So that's what this is about. To be honest, this actually sounds kind of fun. Childish and rather silly to anyone who would be watching, but a bit of silly fun never hurt anyone. I stand up with a heave, my hands quickly moving out in front of me to warn me of any obstacles. Okay, now what? Now, touch me. If you say so. Now then. I slowly make my way forwards, towards the sound of Lily's voice. My walking speed could barely even be called a shuffle, the entire experience feeling alien enough that I don't want to risk inadvertently tripping over anything such as her table or her haphazard piles of books. Something soft yet solid brushes against my left leg. Further inspection reveals it to be Lily's bed. I move onwards, finding myself thankful that Lily's room is so neat and tidy. Even the piles of books she has are generally kept close to the wall, well out of harm's way. The hard wall pressing against my outstretched hands makes me furrow my brow in frustration. Hey, Lily, where are you? What are you doing over there? I'm over here. Lily's voice comes from the other side of the room, far from where it was before. Even to my untrained ears, if she's going out of her way to avoid me reaching her, then is this just a game to her? Of course it is. Compared to life where even the concept of sight is an abstract one, a few minutes in a blindfold are nothing. I guess she's made her point. She's more than capable of navigating her room, and further, I've seen how independent she is, even when compared to many of the others in Yamaku. Well, even if this is just a game, I may as well play it wholeheartedly. With a pace much quicker than before, I move towards the source of her voice, deftly sidestepping the table in the center of the room thanks to remembering its position. I've got you now! She gives an impish giggle, one just long enough to work out that she's passing just beside me. I quickly turn around to face the new direction. The table wasn't there before! Ow! I slowly sit up next to the table, raising my blindfold as I rub my aching head. I give an irritated kick to the table that's sitting just in front of where I fell. Utterly pointless, but the thing deserved it. 𝐂𝐴? Lily's still standing just to my side, obviously unsure of what's befallen me. Sorry, I kind of fell over. Are you hurt? My head hurts, but I think I'm okay. I think the table moved in order to trip me over. She giggles as she walks over and takes a seat beside me, her hand resting on my own. I suppose that's the end of that, then. I think so. But I think I get the point, though I do wish it hadn't involved such a headache. Lily suddenly looks blank. Point? And I returned an extraordinarily flat look. That was just for fun? I just thought it might ease you up a little bit about the subject. You always seem to tiptoe around it, after all. In regard to teaching, sight isn't that important. There are plenty of classes taught by entirely blind teachers, and more than enough resources for me to learn the subject. It's as simple as that, really. I slump my shoulders and give a snort of amusement. Yeah, I understand. I guess we'll both just have to work hard to reach our goals then. What is it? With a little hesitation, Lily pushes forward her chin and closes her eyes in an unmistakable gesture. I accept gladly, our lips touching. As they do, I suddenly feel her hand snaking up my chest from underneath my shirt. The feeling of her hand against my bare skin is enough to make my heart suddenly accelerate. So, she's in that kind of mood again. Well, I'm hardly one to complain. She does genuinely like this, and even with all my medications, my libido is thankfully still intact. I lean in to kiss further, holding her hand slightly as I feel it tracing the contours of my chest. Eventually, we break off from one another, the room silent but for our breathing. Hey, Isao. Yeah? I don't suppose you could wear the blindfold again. Her tentative suggestion takes me by surprise. I suppose she wants to introduce me to sex through her eyes as well, or she just wants to find out what I'll be like during the act while hampered by the blindfold. With a measure of unease tempered by curiosity, I do what she says and lower the blindfold over my eyes. The world becomes dark once again. I reflexively tense as I feel Lily's hand gently brush the side of my face, entirely unable to anticipate her touch. I really need to get more used to contact like this. Even after the weeks we've been going out, it isn't as natural for me as it is for her. Silence? Hey, Lily! Shh. I obediently follow her instruction and quietly listen, trying to make out anything that's happening around me. Compared to before, when I was chasing Lily, the need to carefully navigate the room's obstacles now gone. I can take my time and concentrate much harder on listening. It takes a while, but I can eventually pick out the soft sound of her breathing in the otherwise dead silent room. In, out, in, out. Measuring it against my own breathing, I realize it's definitely deeper than normal, especially for her. Another sound makes its way to my ears, one that I can't identify immediately. I don't think I've heard it before, but my heart skips a beat as I realize the source. My hand almost reflexively reaching out towards it. Her face feels softer than usual under my touch, her head just barely turning in acknowledgement towards the fingers on her cheek. Bleh! Cheek! Isao. I gulp and take a moment to try and calm down. I need all the concentration I can muster while I'm like this in order to fully take in my surroundings. After a few deep breaths, I think I managed to collect myself. With a touch so light that it wouldn't disturb a feather, I start to move my hand down her body. And I can feel myself losing focus again, thanks to those thin silken pajamas of hers, resting so perfectly over the curves of her body. If she's like this, then that means she has to be sitting against her bed and facing me. Now to continue. Alright. This must be her hip. If I just move slowly downwards. What? Dun dun dun. Dun dun dun. Dun dun dun. I shall check up on the super chats. Let's see here. I see Barbara, thank you. Peak storytelling, a random guy, thank you. Ahoy, Pippa, my boss caught me watching your streams and was curious about it. Made for a fun bonding moment. Although, by the end of it, I still couldn't convince him that you were not a man with a voice changer. I get that a lot, it's okay. Ecophonus, thank you. Beep, 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 beep. I managed to escape my birthday party in time. Let's go. Justy's nuts, thank you. Feel like it's been 20 years. Chief Jumping Fox, thank you. It's been so long since last time. I think we should just restart. Fresh Kermit, thank you. Who's Pippa? What's this rabbit with cute shoes doing on my screen? X-Mac, thank you. Oh, I remember that one. Voice changers don't work that well? Not particularly. Well, I don't know. Nowadays they just might chat. Specklebox, thank you. I can't elope from this situation. Do those people think male VTubers are women with voice changers? They still suck. There's like the AI voice changers and stuff now, but I guess they're not as quick, right? So it's hard to like, I don't know. The hero body when AI is involved. I think eventually, they'll get really good, and then people will really be confused. Nowadays, she could be a real rabbit. You never know. Those voice changers fall apart when the users laugh. Do they? Mustachio Man, thank you. Memes aside, if you had a spouse with one of the disabilities the girls have, which would be the easiest for you to get along with? I think it's an interesting question that varies for everyone. That's a very, very good question. Maybe, I guess like any of the missing limb ones, like, it's really not that different, right? Like, I guess daily life with somebody? I'm trying to think. Like, I'm trying to imagine if my parents were missing limbs, right? Like, how would I accommodate, I guess? I don't know. I feel like it would just like be natural, right? Like you would just naturally adapt. I can't imagine it would be much of an issue. Fox, thank you. Don't tell the guys on Discord, but I'm a girl with a voice changer posing as a guy. Helen Riser, thank you. I'm a male VTuber who rigged his own model but can't afford a new one. If someone said I was a female with a voice changer, I'd feel complimented. If Emmy annoys you, just steal her legs and she can't get around. What the fuck? I guess either Hanako or Lily, though? You just adjust your life. Yeah, I assume. Mamakin has some... I don't know if she, like, fully counts as disabled. I don't know. But Mamakin has some stuff where you just naturally accommodate, you know? You just naturally accommodate. Like, she has some trouble like getting downstairs and stuff. So I just stand beside her, right? And like let her hold my arm when we need to go downstairs. You don't really think about it. You just kind of do it, I guess. So yeah, and you just assist if need be. And in general, like, I don't know, maybe it's because like I was raised by her, right? So I just generally know like when she'll need help with something, but get used to it as a daily part of life. Yeah. It's to be second nature. A control freak would want to be with a blind person. What the hell? Unless it's something that happens out of nowhere, it's not usually something you notice. I'll make a poll. Would it be difficult for you to adapt to having a partner with a disability? They should have a girl with no arms or legs. Dizzy? My mom's like that too. I walk in front of her to help her down. Yeah. Depends on the disability. Alright. Well, back to the game for now. Like this. Like this. You guys can discuss amongst yourself while I read. Oh wait. Professor, thank you. Imagine marrying a blind girl and never having to make eye contact. What the fuck? Okay. More. I want more. I can feel my chest tightening as I rock back and forth frantically, both of us entirely taken with ourselves. Nothing that unusual. I just need to take deeper breaths to steady myself. This feeling is just normal. Ah! Ah! This isn't... I can't... This pain is just too much. Arrgh! I stumble backwards from Lily with unseemly haste, clumsily hitting the back of my foot against the table and falling to the ground with an unceremonious crash. Breathing wildly, I frantically scrape at the ribbon over my eyes as I lay on my back. I have to get this off. I have to get this off. For a moment, everything goes blank as a rush of newfound light assaults my eyes. My breathing slows from the brink of hyperventilation. Seconds pass, and I carefully measure out the rhythm of my heartbeats with every ounce of concentration I can muster. My heart is normal. It's back to normal. My body feels utterly bizarre as I lay dazed on the floor looking at the ceiling. The adrenaline from before is still pouring through my veins, but my mind is completely exhausted. I prop myself up as I hear Lily getting off the bed and coming towards me. Isao? Are you okay, Isao? I'm fine, Lily. I'm fine. She gives a sigh of relief, her worried expression collapsing. Her face afterward is the very last I'd ever wanted to see from her. It's a face I'd detested when I first saw my parents in the hospital all those months ago. Pity. Lily pities me. I just close my eyes and turn away, powerless. I feel like throwing up. I can hear the sound of Lily moving away and quickly attending to herself, the ruffling of her clothing being pulled back on after a moment of searching just barely audible. Sorry. She slowly shakes her head as she finishes buttoning up her top. Her kind smile loses. Oh, looks so fragile, so delicate that it makes my heart sink. Approaching carefully, she feels out the edge of the low table before taking a seat next to me, putting her arms around my chest. I'm sorry, Isao. I shouldn't have pushed my desires onto you. You don't need to apologize. I'd normally be fine. You've seen that much before. I guess I shouldn't have tried to push myself so far. My eyelids feel heavy. Calmly sitting next to her like this is probably letting the adrenaline work itself out of my system and letting my mind relax. So, that's why you never took the lead. Yeah, I guess it's a good thing you like to, huh? The joke seems to lighten her expression a little, a fact which helps let me feel less unease about my unreliable self. Lily's head comes to rest on my shoulder as I struggle to keep my eyes open. With more difficulty after each blink, I feel completely drained. It's okay, Isao. It's all okay. No sooner does she say this than a small, quiet tune escapes her lips. Entirely too tired to think, all I can do is listen to her soft humming. It's a soft, almost melancholic tune. It sounds familiar, but the more I try to remember its origin, the less I seem able to concentrate. The feeling and scent of her head gently resting on my shoulder and her warm body against my side are soothing. The soft humming of her voice, too, relaxes my mind as much as her warmth relaxes my muscles. A singular quiet moment. After all this fracas, it makes me realize just how exhausted I've become. I can feel my eyelids slowly becoming heavier and heavier. Even with the chaos of before, I wish this moment would last forever. Lily and I together, sharing a single, solitary occasion together, just as we used to. But if that's the case, why does she feel further away than she's ever felt before? Well, OCD, thank you. Personality-wise, Lily and by extension Hanako. Actual disability, Emmy and Rin are the easiest to work around. J, thank you. Imagine marrying a... Oh wait, I read that. Alrighty. Dun dun dun. I'd like to make myself believe. Easy, thank you. For Lily, she always wanted to be dominated. Back to the library. Back to the library. Yeah, it didn't take as long. I think we're just about back to where we were before. I think we're just about back where we were before, right? We caught up now? Almost. You guys said 53%. It would not be difficult for you guys to adapt. It'd be easy for you guys to adapt. 53% of you believe it'd be easy to get a coda, thank you. Did Cripple Moral get his acceptance letter to Yamaku Academy yet? Cripple Moral is the main character, bro. Dolores, thank you. I quit my job, let's go. Also gonna have a drink to celebrate. Glad this Friday isn't cursed too. Cheers. Hell yeah, congrats on quitting your job! Space Guy Ryan, thank you. I think most people would want to say that they'd adapt, but some disabilities require constant care and expensive equipment. It can add up and really takes a lot out of you. I can see that being the case, I guess, if it's like health disabilities, I guess. Like, if somebody has a disability where they need to, like... Which like an example? I guess it'd be difficult to accommodate if they have to, like, take medication every hour on the hour or they fucking die, right? Or they have to be in bed all the time. There are extremes. Yeah, there are definitely extremes. I think the average disability is not that intense. Right? The average disability is like stuff like difficulties walking, or can't walk, or is hard of hearing, not even like entirely deaf, right? A lot of people, like, they're deaf, but they're the kind of deaf where it's just like difficult for them to hear rather than being fully unable. Or is Misha. True. Or is Misha. Yeah, near blind. Stuff like that. Paraplegic could be difficult. That could be difficult. Paraplegic seems like it'd be potentially very difficult to work with. Alrighty. So, how about for another question? Would you be able to date Lily? Dun, 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 dun. Would it be difficult for you to date Lily in particular? And I shall go back to reading now. Bum, bum, bum. Alrighty. The loud clatter of books falling into the return slot abruptly breaks the grip of the silence over the library. It's become a habit for me to come to the library at least once a week. Not only does the reading itself keep me busy, but discussing books with Hanako and Lily also does. Obviously startled, Yuko suddenly twists towards the direction of the noise. I'd have thought her used to people dropping books by now, since she does work here.
Oh, hello, Hisao. Back again?
It takes me a moment to respond, my mind still distracted by the familiar melody of Lily's humming that's hardly left my ears in the several days it's been since I fell asleep to it. Oh, yeah, just returning some books I borrowed. She casts her eyes downwards, presumably to the bin the books dropped into.
You're a very heavy reader, aren't you?
It's become a bit of a routine now. Passes the time, at least.
I wish I had free time to pass.
From small talk to depression in less than 5 seconds. I think that's a new record for her. She seems a bit down in general today, even compared to normal. Considering she has to work 2 jobs just to support herself, I could see how that would take a toll on her lifestyle. Come to think of it, the pay for her job here can't be all that bad. The idea of staff in such a prestigious private school going hungry strikes me as counterintuitive. Working 2 jobs must take a lot of time. I'd probably never manage it.
You're lucky. Being a student, do you think you'll be able to go to university?
If she's asking, then I guess that's the expected result of having this kind of education. Private schools like this don't exactly come cheap. I guess. I have the money, I think. I've got plans which will require going to one, and my grades are good enough. It's more a matter of how I'll pay to do so.
University costs so much that I'm having to work 2 jobs to afford to enter it. Paying for daily expenses too makes it a lot harder. If you're reading this much though, that must mean you're doing well in school, right?
Interesting logical jump. Not an altogether wrong one, though. I suppose so. I didn't find any of the exams very hard, aside from maybe 1 or 2. Do you mind if I ask what studies you're pursuing in university? Yuko appears to genuinely brighten at the question.
Anthropology! To be specific, I'm specializing in the history of classical era Athenian civilization and democracy.
She really seems to know her stuff. Such enthusiasm is to be admired, and it's nice to see her genuinely excited about something. I guess even somebody like Yuko can be happy if she has a visible road ahead of her. That's nice to get... Both of us jump at the sudden interruption coming from my pocket. Apologizing profusely and quickly shuffling into the hallway as I fumble with the cover of my mobile phone, I glance at the screen. Weird. It's a mobile number I don't recognize. Considering I can count the number of people with my number on one hand, I briefly wonder whether it's some telemarketer that lucked out. Hello, Hisao Nakai speaking. Is this the sister? Is this the sister? Jeez, pick up faster next time. Anyway, guess who? Hey! It only takes me a second to recognize the distinctively deep, brusque voice. Oh, Misha! 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 Huh? Hey, Misha. Didn't expect you to call me. Oh, fuck. Okay. Huh? You actually think I sound like her? Not at all, Akira. I don't remember giving you my number, though, so I thought I'd mess with you. Oh, that? I got Lily to give it to me. Not hard. She positively brims with pride at the statement. She's trying to get me caught up in her pace. I know it. I suppose I shouldn't be surprised that the two would share my number, though, given how close they are. So, what's up? You're free Oh, you free right now? I guess. Why? Could you meet me at the park in town? I just wanted to talk to you about some stuff. Is that an invitation to a date? What? Of course not! She sounds suddenly crestfallen, her previous teasing nature having instantaneously left. It seems strange for her. Anyway, I don't see why not. When do you want to meet? Kind of now-ish? Wait, right now? But it's... The dead silence suddenly coming from the phone announces the fact that she has unceremoniously hung up. For a long time, I just stand there, staring at the co-ended message on the screen while replaying the conversation in my head. What the hell, Akira? Throwing a glance up and down the street, I cross the road and step into the park. I've learned to pace myself on such walks, mostly because Lily's slower speed during our forays into town means I have to consciously slow myself down. That aside, I hope Akira doesn't expect me to be immediately prompt. Oh, Akira CG! Akira CG! She's pretty. It takes only a couple of seconds to spot her, waiting on a bench with a can of beer in her hand. The look she gives me as I walk up lacks any hint of acknowledgement or greeting. What's with that look? I needn't have come, you know. I knew you would. You're that kind of person, after all. I lower my brow at her remark as she disposes of the can, emptied by the time I arrived, and a metallic clatter rings out. Akira takes a seat on the old wooden bench and I follow her lead. She takes another can of beer from beside her and opens it before speaking, taking a large gulp. She seems to really like that stuff. I suppose I don't need to ask what this is about, or rather, who it's about. I heard from Lily that you asked about our family. They share more than phone numbers, that's for sure. I'd probably be very worried right now if it weren't for the total lack of malice in her voice. Rather, her tone sounds almost wistful. Idle curiosity, mostly. I have to admit, I'd never guessed you two were half Scottish. She gives a wry chuckle of amusement. I've heard that before, trust me. The small smile falls from her face, her eyes looking ahead distantly. Aside from the occasional elderly couple talking as they slowly walk the meandering paths and the odd aging car, it's pleasantly quiet. She didn't tell you everything though, did she? It was pretty brief. Your parents live in Scotland, she hasn't met them since she was 12, and she wants to meet them again. It's always surprised me how devoted she is to our parents, for all the good they did us. The way she says it sounds almost derisive. She gives a small sigh as if to quickly brush the feelings away. Why do you think they left us, 𝐒𝐴𝐚? Why do I think they left? From what Lily told me, it was because of work. I guess a pretty decently paying job was involved as well, given the way your parents seem to live. So Lily went to a private school, and that's why she carries herself with the airs and graces of the upper class. Yeah, since the business in Inverness boomed, her father decided to move directly to the same city as its headquarters. That's just the conclusion I thought you'd come to, though. You're too good-natured. You don't think they left for their career? I'm sitting here bitching to you about it. What do you think? Yamaku Academy. I've always felt that place was kinda creepy. Like it was an isolated hideaway for those proper society doesn't want to see nor hear. They probably just rue the fact that Lily wasn't old enough to be shoved there by the time they left. A long silence follows her abrupt and very harsh criticism of her own parents and Yamaku. Lily's blindness is hardly something that could be simply ignored for a high-class family attempting to keep up appearances, much less so when a lucrative offer is on the table. Eventually, Akira gives a derisive snort, her feelings coming to a head. Moving to secure our financial future with his new job posting, even at the time I hardly believed it. Not wanting to simply be an avenue for her venting, I gently tried to steer the discussion. So you stayed in Japan with Lily then? Either I stayed with her or she went to live with an ailing grandmother and grandfather. What about Shizune's family? If you're cousins, then... Our fathers hate each other. I'd have been more than happy to tell them to go screw themselves and live with them anyway, but Lily wouldn't have wanted that. I'd also had an offer for a job by then, so we did our best to keep our parents' house in proper shape and tried to continue our lives as if they'd never left. So you just lived by yourselves? Basically. Lily had school and I had my job, so we weren't exactly languishing. With her schooling, her study, and having to do chores while I worked, though, I can't help feeling like I failed her. In the end, I tried to be there for her and screwed it up. Expecting a 19-year-old to be a mother for a blind child. It's ridiculous. So, Lily and Akira lived alone after their parents moved, with Lily largely taking care of herself. I guess it explains her apparent independence compared to many in Yamaku. I may have lived alone much of the time since my parents both worked, but that's just something else entirely. Sorry for making you listen to my moaning, 𝐒𝐴𝐚. I don't mind it at all, but... Do you mind if I ask why you're telling me all this? You always were curious. Context, I suppose. Life isn't a fairy tale, 𝐒𝐴𝐚. Some people have to learn that the hard way. She takes a long drink from the can in her hand, her face becoming more depressed than distant. I broke up with my boyfriend a few days ago. After I leave, we're not going to be able to see each other again. But that's how life is. You can't just set your life up and expect it to stay that way forever. Sometimes stuff happens that you have to roll with, even if it means hurting yourself or others. She takes a long breath before looking up at the bright orange sky. Damn. If I smoked, I could take a nice, long drag right now and look kinda cool. I want to respond to help her in whatever way I can, but I feel utterly useless. This kind of situation is one I've never been in, and I simply don't have the experience to say anything meaningful to comfort her. Akira looks over and evidently picks up on this, much to my embarrassment. I must look pretty pathetic right now, whining about this to someone I barely know. Hardly. I'm pretty much an expert on looking pathetic. She gives a chuckle, the act feeling like a personal victory for me. You're a good kid, 𝐒𝐸. When I said that I approved of you being with my sister, I wasn't joking or being nice. She picks herself up off the seat with a grunt, one that seems ill-fitting given her age, and throws the now empty can into the bin after one last swig. It's just unfortunate that doesn't really count for much in this world. When I said that I was leaving for Scotland, I was doing it because a good position opened up in our company's headquarters. When our folks told me that when we were at their place, though, they also gave Lily a summons to rejoin them in Inverness. No way. Her evasiveness when asked about her future. That awkwardness that had steadily grown between us. That uncharacteristic outburst of anger. All of them suddenly fit into place. The same family that she reminisced about after Hanako's birthday party. The same family that left her and Akira to themselves after taking flight to greener pastures. Now I feel stupid for never cornering Lily on what was bugging her. I'd never even considered if something had happened during her trip to her family's home at Inverness. And now, a sense of unease grows in my chest. If her family has summoned her to join them in Scotland, all the way on the other side of the earth, has she accepted? Lily hasn't told me whether she plans to accept, and it seems she hasn't told you either. That's why I called you down here to talk, 𝐒𝐸. Context, huh? I sit back, my feelings of worry and frustration no doubt written all over my face. Lily's a strong person, 𝐒𝐸, but she's not infallible. I guess it's my job to worry about her, being her older sister, but I think that you deserve to know. I understand. You okay? You sound depressed. No, I'm just thinking. That's good. Thinking is good. Being rash won't get you anywhere. She looks at her watch, barely moving her wrist. I've gotta go. Will you be okay? I'll be fine. Don't worry. I'll have to talk to Lily about it and get everything sorted out. She gives a smile, but it doesn't feel all that genuine or sincere. Really, both of us are dancing around the fact that Lily's on the precipice of the biggest decision of her life, and is trying to take the entire burden on herself. And part of that burden is the matter of our relationship. By the time I look up, Akira's already walking off with her hand held up. For the first time in a long time, or a long while, I finally have an answer to something. Perhaps not even that. But at least I know I have the right question to ask. Will you leave or stay? Thank you, Mustachio Man. I'd say burns would be the easiest for everyday things, but stigma would be tough. Burned skin can look really cool, though. Ding dong, thank you. Hey, Pippa, your collab with 𝐿𝐸 was great. Just watch the VOD. Thanks. Hell yeah. Well, Theory, thank you. Thanks for doing this, Pippa. I never liked visual novels before, but taking this piecemeal with you voicing it and chat commenting, I've come to like this story. Hell yeah. Glad you're enjoying it. Space Guy, right, thank you. Lily's enhanced sense of smell would prevent her from dating chat. Fox, thank you. Now they all know the mods keep asking me if I'm 13. Space Guy riding you. I think most people... Oh, yeah. Alrighty. As for the poll, would you be able to date Lily? 75% of you said yes. 25% of you said no. I'm kind of curious why. I'm kind of curious why 25% would say no. Yeah, only 75%. I don't understand. I don't understand. Also, the poll is 74% and 74% and 25%, which is very, very interesting. Because Hanako is my beloved. Okay, that checks out. That checks out. Okay. Some people might not like her. How have you stuck with the string for that long? I misclicked. Cat's not blind anymore. I do think the blindness would be difficult for me. 1% disappeared into the ether. Because I'm Don't mind her, thank you. I really enjoy art and it would be hard to bond. I mean, there's lots of different kinds of art, right? It's not like you're locked into just like strictly the visual elements of arts, right? Like paintings have the different textures and there's sculptures and Arclight, thank you. I mean, technically, aren't all women disabled? Jesus Christ. I would rather date another girl, but ability is not the same as want. I really don't know how I'd handle dating someone blind. I guess I'd have to date a blind girl to find out. Well, there's a question. Next question while I read. Have you ever dated someone with a disability? Yes? No? I've never dated before. Dun dun dun. Had to add the third option, otherwise the results would be very skewed. Alrighty. I'm heading back on to reading. Hurry, Lily! No! She looks so sad! She looks so sad, Chad! What the fuck? I'm moving as fast as I can. I can barely make out Lily's voice over the deafening pounding of the rain. Even though I dislike pulling her around, the situation calls for it. I turn forward, my free hand over my head in a futile attempt to keep at least my hair dry. My vision seems to be in grayscale. This really is rotten weather for summer, and the last kind of climate I'd want for a date. A pity. I'd even checked the weather forecast beforehand, one of the very few times I'd ever done so, only for it to say that Sunday afternoon would be fine. Looking to Lily, her shoulders are by now completely drenched, with her right hand holding tightly to mine and her left gripping her retracted cane. This horrid downpour came on just as we were between our destination and Yamaku, so we decided to try rushing the rest of the distance rather than doubling back. Entirely unused to running this fast, Lily's using all her concentration just to avoid tripping over. Misao, do you know where we're going? Even she's reduced to shouting to try and be heard over the combined noise of the wind and the rain. The rest of my voice is completely drowned out by an even heavier burst of rain. The what? The Shanghai! How far is it? It shouldn't be far now! It doesn't take long before I call out to her once again. It looks like we're safe! It's just up ahead! I quickly pull up to a stop just in front of the familiar exterior. The lantern outside still giving off its reliable glow, and wait for Lily to catch her breath before going in. Ladies first. The tiny bell inside rings out when I hold the door open for her, a smile and a polite nod being my reward before entering myself. As I step in behind her and wipe my feet, only a quick glance is necessary to notice the distinct lack of activity. The Shanghai doesn't seem to get much in the way of patronage, and today is no different. Only a couple of tables are occupied. Summoned by the bell's ring, a most expected person comes to greet us.
Welcome to the Shanghai!
Yuko looks chipper today. Trying to predict her moods is pretty hard, but it's a nice change from the norm. Hello, Yuko. Hey.
Good afternoon, you two.
She takes a deep bow, somewhat taken aback as she rights herself again and gets a better look at us.
What happened to you? You both look...
Her eyes drift towards the glass of the door behind us.
Oh dear.
We're inside now, at least. I think that's the most important thing. It's nice and cozy. You're lucky to be working inside today.
It has been nice and quiet. I like days like this. Oh, wait, sorry. Is there anything you'd like?
French vanilla tea, please. I'll have the same.
Right. Coming right up.
She quickly skitters off with a determined look on her face, trying very hard not to forget our orders. If nothing else, she is at least dedicated to her jobs. I lead Lily to an empty seat before the two of us settle down. As usual, there's a large difference between my exhausted flopping down into my seat and Lily's delicate sliding into hers, her cane set beside her. For a while, I just idly watch the rain falling outside. The occasional person runs down the street, trying to stay as dry as possible, hands often tightly gripping a rain-soaked umbrella. Lily sits just as quietly as I, her eyes closed as she intently listens to all that's happening. It's a comfortable, relaxing silence that exists between us, just the type we'd so often shared together in the past months. For Lily, at least. I can't help replaying the words of her sister in my mind, at times contrasting them to both our time spent together since I entered Yamaku, and to the way we've been since we started dating. No matter how much I try, I can't work Lily out. It's as if the harder I try to second-guess her emotions and her potential decision, the more difficult it becomes to reach a clear conclusion. It makes me doubt whether I'd ever really understood her. In the end, I'm going to have to ask, even though I very much want to avoid doing so. You seem quiet today, Hisa. Really? You seem so enthusiastic about taking me out on a date. I had assumed you had something specific you wanted to do. No, not really. Just wanted to spend some time with you. Is that so? Fine. There is one thing. A little grin finds its way onto Lily's face. Her knowing full well that she's bested me. It makes what I want to say all the more awkward. It was just... Akira and I were talking. Oh? What's with that tone? You two do seem to get on well, don't you? Well, I do think she's a pretty cool person to talk with. It'd be nice if any of the teachers were willing or were anything like her. Cool. For a moment, I try to place her tone of voice, my mouth curling into a smirk as I realize it. You're not jealous, are you? I'm not jealous. After her teasing me over such a thing on our first date, I don't feel too bad having a little laugh at her expense this time around. As we settle down, though, it's only a minor distraction from the real point of why I brought Lily here. Don't worry, it was mostly just everyday stuff. That said, there was something Akira mentioned that I wanted to talk to you about. When you went to see your family in Inverness a while back, she said... Akira told you about my family's summons, hasn't she? Seconds tick by while I try to read Lily's face, an odd mixture of feelings written on it. She seems annoyed, but also somewhat confused.
Here.
Yuko Hanako tentatively slides our drinks onto the table, her presence oddly small. As she walks back to the counter, after a quick, polite nod, I realize the air between me and Lily is thick, and our expressions are both somewhat pensive. Even though she says I should lead my own life, she still interferes at the worst times. I don't think you should blame Akira here. She's just looking out for you. And it's not like I can't understand her concern over this. Lily's irritation gives way to an awkward and largely unsuccessful attempt to mask her feelings. She really doesn't deal well with being cornered on personal topics. I know, but I wanted some more time. I knew you'd have figured out eventually, but you were intentionally hiding this from me? For how long were you planning to do so? As I said, I simply wanted more time to think it through. I wanted to be sure of my decision before telling you. What did you decide to do in the end? I know what I want her to say, but an awful feeling refuses to leave my gut. My family does dearly want me to return to them, and Akira will be going as well. I could still teach as a career, whether it be here or there. So, you're going. How long have you known? I already know you were asked when you first went to Scotland about a month ago. Some time. My frustration nearly boils over. The fact that she's done this affects me more than it should. For her to not only be leaving, but to have been actively hiding her own plans from me. And after seeming for so long to be the only solid pillar of support and reliability I could depend on. It feels as if the foundation underneath me is suddenly shifting drastically, much faster than I can adapt to. Perhaps this isn't so much frustration as sheer unease. Lily. I'm sorry, I wanted to think this through completely. I wasn't trying to take advantage of you, please. I know, Lily, I know. This is just really sudden. I guess this means that once you go, we'll be breaking up. For one of the few times I've seen since I met her, she's genuinely lost for words. She doesn't look surprised, no doubt because the fact had dawned on her once she became sure of her decision. But rather, she appears genuinely unsure of how to deal with the situation now that's in front of her. We could try pursuing a long-distance relationship. They're getting more and more common these days, after all. Even as she says it, the tone of her voice gives way that she doesn't truly believe what she's saying. Lily is far too old-fashioned to be able to cope with a relationship without any kind of physical presence. And even I am, to an extent. All we would ever be to each other would be a voice from the other side of the world. In the end, trying to rationalize everything is futile. Any attempts to try and connect what's happening with the future or past just seems to get more difficult the more I concentrate. Those quiet moments when we just walked side by side. The precious time we spent with Hanako and Akira. The casual chatter we had during lunchtimes. The times we made love. The confessions of our feelings to each other. All pointless. All just a fleeting moment in our young lives.
The hell was that?
I think it's so hot in here, one of the bottles just expanded and made like a popping noise. What the fuck? Sounds like a pop? A heartbreak. It was the sound of Esau's heart breaking. What the fuck? What the fuck? Get down! Clean your room. Eh. Eh. Why do you have random bottles in your room? They're all water bottles. Before bed, I'll like go grab one and then I'll be like, oh, I already have one still lying on the bed. Oh well. And then they just accumulate. Okay, anyways. Back to reading. Back to reading. We're just two children pretending to be adults, aren't we? A long silence hangs in the air between us. The noise of the other patrons drinking and talking only makes the situation feel more strange and disconnected. Lily's face remains low, her dejected expression clouding it. I'm sorry, Hisa. A simple apology and no more. She's left entirely without any further response or comment. With a long sigh, I gather what's left of my thoughts and ask the final question I have for her. When will you be going? I'll be leaving with Akira, so it'll be little less than a week. The beginning of the summer holidays. Just a little bit afterward, yes. Her tone is unusually slow and steady. Her apologetic and depressed mood all the more written to her face as she tries to hide it in her voice. In the end, I can't even keep my promise of going to Tanabata with her before she leaves. I look down, seeing my face reflected in the by now lukewarm cup of neglected tea sitting in front of me. I really thought I'd left this kind of expression behind. For a while, I just stared down into the still surface, trying to sort through my emotions to get at what course of action I should take, whether it be right now or in the future. But, just as before, the effort is wasted. I glance up to see Lily gently sipping her cool tea without complaint. Her face drawn and shoulders slumped. She looks to be deep in thought, too. A strange, cold atmosphere coming between us as we isolate ourselves to mull things over. Even as Lily's cup slowly empties, mine remains untouched. It's a long time before I notice the rain dying down outside, and a few other patrons of the Shanghai having left. The chill of the rapidly darkening evening permeates the dormitory hallways. While trudging down the corridor to my room, I see an unwelcome movement from a bed. Sure enough, the opening at the door opposite mine heralds the arrival of a bespectacled Kenji.
Hey man, what's... Wow, dude, you look awful, I think. You okay?
He really has a knack for making any situation better. I don't really want to go into it. It's late.
Okay, that's cool. If you ever want to talk about it, here.
I look at him for a moment before surrendering my stern front and awkwardly scratching the back of my neck, embarrassed by my standoffish response to him. Thanks, Kenji.
Hey, it's cool. That's what friends are for, right?
Yeah, you're right. See ya. I open the door to my own dorm room and close it behind me as he quickly waves me off. The solid thud of the door against the door frame sounds out to a final call for life. The solid thud the door makes against the door frame sounds out a final call for the life I've led since coming to Yamaku. I just stand in my darkened room, fruitlessly attempting to work out what I should do from this point onwards. Just what should I do? Aldous Media, thank you for the $2. Sundays for breakfast, thank you. Beep, 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 beep. FlatX, thank you. I summon Lily in attack position. On Leo City, thank you. Dated someone with dystonia. Most of the time, they just had body pains and overstimulation from noise. It would be easy to work around if they weren't extremely emotionally abusive. I've made peace since. Justina's, thank you. Dated a chick with a glass eye. The bar tricks were great. Cinemus, thank you. Pippa, we're VTuber fans. Most of us have never seen a woman, let alone date one. Well, actually, I'm looking at the poll results, and apparently 51% of you have dated, so that's over half. BZ, thank you. Dating is haram, Pippa. Arclight, thank you. I mean, technically... Oh, wait, I read that. So, yeah. 49% of you said, I've never dated before. 36% of you have never dated somebody with a disability. And 15% of you have dated somebody with a disability. That feels like a surprisingly high number to me. I don't know, like 15%? Here, thank you. Question for chat. Would you date a nugget girl? 15% sounds like a pretty high amount. Fish, thank you. Does being a woman count as a disability now? Autism counts. Okay, well, if autism counts. Douglas MacArthur, thank you. Does Minhara count as disabled? No, just being Minhara doesn't count as being disabled. Jesus Christ. It does. Yes, heavily! RNG, thank you. One high school date was wheelchair bound. Oh. Okay, I have another question then. What... Or would you date someone with an extreme, or how about what's like a better way to word this, with a disability you'd have to restructure your life around to accommodate? That's an interesting one, I think. Because beyond just like, would you date somebody with a disability? Would you like what structure? Like a much more difficult to accommodate disability, like what, like a wheelchair? I guess, yeah, like a wheelchair, or like having to stay home 24/7 to like take care of them, or like not being able to do, I guess, like certain things, right? Like not being able to just like go outside or on walks or work from home. Why are you asking so many questions? Because I feel like it gives chat something to do while I'm reading. Wheelchair versus constant supervision is a big difference. Okay, true. DZ, thank you. Do Shrek's dolls count? They can't move on their own. How extreme? Wheelchair, blind, armless? Would I go into intentionally? No. If I grew fond of a friend and wanted to date her, then yes. If she was injured after starting dating. Maybe this one... Viva's trying to data mine us. Not sure I can really vote because I don't know. I feel like I'm pretty adaptable to people, but again, I'm not really sure. Douglas, thank you. It depends, not gonna lie. Like, is family eventually still on the table, like, at all, or would it just be difficult versus impossible? Okay, let's say you would still be able to have a family with them, right? And you would still be able to have a happy relationship, right? Like, it wouldn't be like they are entirely like a vegetable or whatever, right? Alrighty. No idea. Gonna sit this vote out. In the meantime, let's get back into it. As class ends, I simply rest my head on my hand and stare out the window to pass the time. It's been a few days since Lily told me her plans. I haven't been to our ordinary lunchtime haunt since then. Not that there would be much point. Hanako has been busy with a newspaper club she's newly joined, and has even begun talking in class with Naomi every now and then. Even Lily, aside from the fact that a meeting between us would have been awkward in any case, has been run off her feet with class representative duties as the summer holidays approach. And now they're just about here. At the end of today's bell, summer holidays will have begun. I suppose that all I'll end up doing will be visiting my parents for the duration and lazing about my old home, now that my previous plans are entirely askew. Meanwhile, Akira and Lily will be en route to Scotland to live out the rest of their lives there. No matter how hard I try to rationalize the idea that once the summer holidays begin, my life will return to the way it was, it simply refuses to happen. Everyone's moving on with their lives. Lily's rejoining her family. Akira's moving up in her father's business. Hanako's gaining new friends and hobbies, and even Yuko's moving ahead with her university aspirations. Even I'm moving forward in the end, with the grades I've gotten so far in Yamaku, much less after such a rocky beginning. The path to get into teaching science as a career seems straightforward. I suppose I should at least be happy about that much, but it doesn't really seem to help.
Ita!
I quickly stop ruminating and turn to face the bubbly voice beside me, putting on the most upbeat expression I can muster. As expected, Shizune stands flanking her. I have a sneaking suspicion they want something from me. Hey, Misha? Shizune? What's up?
Well, Shi-chan and I were thinking, since we're just two poor little girls that need help with all the work we've been given just before the holidays begin. Sure, I can help. But Hi-chan, we really need... What?
I think I broke Misha. Even Shizune raises an eyebrow at her accomplice's shuddering stop in her tracks.
So you'll help us, Hi-chan?
I just said I would, didn't I? It's hardly like I have anything better to do. Maybe helping them with their work will help take my mind off the situation. Misha seems genuinely ecstatic with my response, but Shizune's expression is clouded and difficult to read. I find myself quickly averting my eyes from her own, as it almost looked like a face of pity. No doubt it must just be my imagination. This is hardly the first time I've been in the student council room. Indeed, I found myself down here often, either to help Lily with class rep work or to sort out one thing or another with the student council itself. Now, though, it's quite a different place. Papers and folders are strewn across every table in the room. Only a solitary little black laptop atop a single desk sticking out from the mess. I hate these little trackpad things, these tiny little ones. It looks positively ancient, and I guess it's been valiantly serving its task in archiving information for years and years. So, what needs doing? This looks like a lot to do. Shizune's expression becomes determined as she signs. It's a worrying look.
Everything, Hi-chan!
My worry was well placed. Everything, you say?
What's left on the desks is what needs to be done. It all needs to be digitally recorded, which is what the laptop is for.
And I'm guessing that I'll be the one doing this.
Mei-chan says she saw you with the computers in the library a few days ago, and that you seemed really good with them.
Good with computers. I can touch type, I guess, but it seems like an overestimation of my skills. I was just typing up homework. Wait, Shizune was watching me do that?
One must know their allies before they can know their enemies, of course. Well, that's pretty wise.
For once, it's not very hard to work out who said what. Nonetheless, it doesn't seem worth fighting over. Sitting at a computer doing some typing hardly seems onerous, as far as tasks to help Shizune and Misha go.
Besides, it will help you take off your mind. Oh, fuck. Besides, it will help to take your mind off things.
Take my mind off things? Take my mind off what things? Misha's face goes blank as she translates this for Shizune, though the latter's response is only to glance towards the window after briefly signing. Misha's face quickly returns to a smile as she translates back. She was confused, I guess, but Shizune's harder to pin down.
I was just thinking you may like to get your mind off the exams, of course.
Either way, we may as well get into it sooner rather than later. I'll go along with you.
That's the spirit, Ii-chan.
And that's the 5th spreadsheet compiled and saved. Time for the next month's. After a little bit of fussing around, we all managed to get a bit more organized. Shizune's been gathering up the loose sheets and thankfully sorting them into a neat pile next to me. Meanwhile, Misha's been handling the manual writing work, her girly pink pen leaving its unmistakable mark on paper after paper. Once I got myself into a rhythm, this really wasn't so bad. Shizune and Misha also seem to be in the swing of things, wordlessly communicating as they go about their business with further fervor. I periodically glance at the sheet beside the laptop, apparently a list of student names and matching addresses, as I dutifully enter the data written on it. I don't pay a lot of attention to what I'm typing in until I reach about midway down the page. Takamichi, Class 3-3. Her family's home is in Saitama. My idle curiosities ended abruptly as the 3 light taps can be heard rapping on the door. Misha quickly skips over to check who it is, tapping Shizune's shoulder on the way past to let her companion know what's happening.
Ah, you're here!
Who is it? With a slight pause to enter Shizune's data into the file along with all the others, I look up to see who's at the door. Lily? After giving a cursory nod to Misha in greeting, she perks her head up in her trademark manner. Is that Miso? She's pretty darn good at working out my voice from the smallest of phrases nowadays. Yeah, it's me. Hey. The atmosphere feels slightly awkward as she bows. Neither of us knows quite how intimate we should be around each other, given she's leaving in just a matter of hours. This is a fact that, thankfully, neither the oblivious Misha nor the hard-working Shizune pick up on. So, you've got work to do as well? Unfortunately, I arrived as soon as I could, but my class held me up with a surprise farewell party and I had to get changed. I glanced down at the laptop's clock. It's pretty much the end of lunchtime, so I'm guessing Lily managed to wrangle the last period off as well. I take it Shizune is here as well?
Of course! And I've been here during all of lunchtime as well.
That last comment was really not needed. Shizune's beating Lily into another argument. I can feel it. I'm sorry I can't be as hardworking as you, Shizune. I'll endeavor to hire more lackeys to do my work in the future, I assure you. And Lily just took the bait, escalating things further.
But aren't you the one always outsourcing work to your classmates?
The difference is that they choose to help, unlike your tyrannical grip on your own class.
Tyranny works! Even if we did things differently, we still got the same results, right?
This is a school, not a police state. You will have to remind me when you were appointed class monarch, I'm afraid.
You have to seize power. It's not good if it's just handed to you. But I guess you wouldn't really understand that, right? You'll also have to remind me when monarchs were elected into their positions.
Lily positively bristles at this. Shizune's two-hit combo forces her onto defense. Yet for all your vaunted power, you cannot get one person to help you without forcing them.
But he's not volunteered. He's such a hard worker. He's doing this instead of meaningless socialization, right?
Is that so, Hisao? This is bad. I really ended up between a rock and a hard place. As much as it may pain me to do this, the truth has at least a chance of stopping this argument here and now. It's okay, Lily. They didn't harass me to come or anything. Lily gives me a disapproving grimace, silently radiating her strong feelings of displeasure in my general direction. It can be quite scary when she wants to be, though thankfully that isn't often.
Dad, you make that sound like it's a regular occurrence!
It isn't. In the end, it doesn't matter so long as everything is getting done at a good pace. Let's just get this work over with so we can go home. Shizune snorts derisively and gets back to marking off the sheet in front of her, while Lily sighs and finds her way along the room with her hand following the filing cabinets lined along the wall. This would mark the only time I've managed to successfully diffuse one of these situations, but the grudging ceasefire built around mutual fear and respect makes this feel more like a Cold War than any real peace. I can't take all the credit though. Lily's leaving has surely affected Shizune to some extent, to make her give up so easily. Moments before getting back to my work, I noticed Lily reaching up to grab something from above a filing cabinet. I almost offered to help her, but her height gives her ample ability to take it down safely. Once she sets the strangely shaped device on the desk beside me, I realize just what it is, sort of, as she takes the old green covering off and sits down. At first glance, it seems to be an old metallic blue typewriter, but it doesn't take me long to realize it's far from ordinary. It has far fewer keys than expected, and those it has show no lettering printed on them. Only the shadows cast by the tiny braille dots on them give a hint of the thing's purpose. Blind typewriter? Oh, this? Well, you're not far off. It's normally called a Perkins Brailler, but it's basically a typewriter for the blind, yes. It presses braille into the pages rather than text, which is why it has fewer keys. Oh, that's really neat. She gives a lighthearted grin at my curiosity over it. I have to admit that it appeals to my sense of novelty. Without further ado, we each get back to our allotted tasks. The loud clunking of the mechanics in Lily's brailler and the tapping of the laptop's old and weary keyboard quickly fills the room. It's a nice atmosphere, really. Everyone knows what they have to do. And Lily and I get to sit beside each other and exchange the odd word as we work away. Nostalgic. That's what it feels like. It's pleasant, but just slightly stained with the knowledge that our time together is nearing its end. Excuse me, Misha? To properly address her, Misha bounces over from the filing cabinet she's peering into, in spite of Lily's lack of sight. For a moment, I think it's strange, but then realize it's exactly what I do.
What's up?
Could you ask Shizune where the attendance records for class 32 are? I think they've been moved.
Okie dokie!
And with that, she flitters off to Shizune, who's working at a table behind us. Lily's familiarity with the council room and the efficiency with which she works remind me that she, Misha, and Shizune used to all work together in the student council. Maybe this is a fitting ending for her stay in Yamaku, working away just like she used to, surrounded by those she loves and, at least, liked. I look up, getting taken off guard by Shizune sorting through a drawer, rather than Misha. Sure enough, she plucks out a manila folder, entirely blank save for the just barely visible bumps on its front, and holds it in front of Lily. Lily's hand flits over it to check what it is, her fingers feeling out the dots of Braille and confirming that it's what she asked for. Thank you, Misha. No reply. No reply, that is, save for an odd grin. No smile on Shizune's face.
Oh, they do care about each other still.
What the hell? They're so mean to each other, though. That's cute. That's a cute CG. No. No. A couple of seconds before... A couple of seconds pass before Lily clicks that it isn't Misha behind her, but Shizune. A momentary look of surprise is replaced by a slightly bashful smile. For a few moments, the room is all but still and silent. Eventually, though, Shizune strides back to her workstation, and Lily begins typing once again. You know, I just realized Shizune could have learned Morse code to communicate with Lily. Makes you think! It only lasted a handful of seconds in all, but it feels like years of communication were made up for in that one silent exchange. There! Finished. I leaned my head back and rubbed my eyes to try and work away their weariness. Staring at that small and rather poor screen has taken its toll. Excellent timing. The only thing left is to file these away and I'll have my workload finished as well. Good! I can pack up the brailer and put it away while you do that. Thank you, Hisa. Misha, are you and Shizune far from being done? I look around for the two as I replace the cover over the brailer, only to see them waiting at the door. I guess they must be waiting for us. With a minimum of wasted time, we file and pack up everything that remains and join them. Thanks for waiting, you two.
We couldn't just take off without you, Hee-chan. You've been a great help.
Shizune nods approvingly, pleased with my efforts. I guess that's the last class representative work done and over with, then. That's right.
I'll miss you, Lily. I think it was fun working with you.
Thank you, Misha. It's been good working with you. And Shizune. Shizune thinks for a moment before formulating her response. It's not that she often communicates without thinking. Quite the opposite. But this time it's even more considerate than usual. Misha looks a little surprised before passing on the message.
Shizune says, you'd better do your work over there better than you did it here.
Far from taking offense, Lily giggles into her hand. If that's the case, then please tell Shizune to give those still here a little more understanding in the future. Competitive until the last. Maybe Shizune and Lily aren't so different after all.
She-chan says that she'll be checking to make sure you live up to your end of the promise.
Then, that's how it will be. I'd better be off then. Goodbye, Shizune. Goodbye, Misha. Hisa, Lily takes a hold of my arm in hers. There being no need for a cane if I'm here to guide her. With a nod of farewell to the two, we set off out the door and make our way to the school grounds. As I turn to wave goodbye to them, I know this Shizune's gaze lingering on Lily. They may know each other, but family bonds aren't easily broken. I just realized chat isn't legible when I have the poll up. I just look over and I'm like, wait a minute. Wait a minute. Oh! Wait, and somebody raided. Lunaria, thank you for the raid! Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you so much. I hope you had a good stream. I guess I glanced over at just the right time. Let me... And I shall be a face right here. I shall be a tiny face in the corner. Alright, back to raiding. Got all your papers sorted then? Yes, they've all been filled out and handed in. On top of things as always, aren't you? She gives an earnest smile at the compliment, but it feels as if her happiness is just a veneer over the fact that she's fully aware of how much she's leaving behind. It reminds me of how she was like when I first met her. Always smiling. Always that little bit aloof. Always that little distance away from everybody. Even now, she still maintains that air around many others, especially those she's not close to. I had hoped that our time together would have changed that fact. Our pace slows, the two of us coming to a halt in the all but empty school grounds. Hisa, is something the... Lily's words are cut short as I turn and wrap my arms around her, pulling her tight. I may not usually be given to such impulsive actions, but I just want to be close to her, even if it's the last time I'll be able to. All the other students have retreated to their dormitories and homes. Only the ruffling of leaves in the breeze making any sound whatsoever. Quick tangent, but it always surprised me how quickly school emptied out. You know, like on the last day of school, it seemed like things... Like everybody disappeared so quickly. Made me nostalgic for a moment. Blue box. Ah! Thank you. As I draw back, I can see she has dropped her carefully maintained smile. Her hand hesitates, wanting neither to leave nor to stay on my features. She's putting up a brave show, but her slight trembling gives her away. Lily may be able to control herself well, but even she can't hold her composure together now. This is the woman I've come to love, but also the one who, in all too short a time, will leave the country forever. I'm sorry, Misha. It's okay. You've got your own life to lead, after all. We walk up the hallway in the girls' dormitory, hand in hand, our emotions by now largely quelled. Nevertheless, our hands grip each other's much more tightly than before. Faint, muffled voices can be heard from Lily's room, the origins of which aren't difficult to guess. The moment she opens the door, Hanako bursts through and wraps her arms around Lily, taking her very obviously by surprise.
Lily!
Hanako?
I'm going to miss you, Lily.
As expected, she's on the verge of tears. Lily gently rubs Hanako's hair with her hand in response. then pulls back and gives a warm, reassuring smile. Looking beyond Hanako, Akira can be seen getting up from the side of Lily's bed and scratching her head. Her eyes turn from Lily and Hanako to me, a stilted, weak smile hanging on her face. I try to return a more genuinely happy look, but the result is probably just the same.
So, everything set? Managed to hold back from killing Shizune?
The comment draws an amused giggle from her sister. Yes, I have everything in order, and yes, I managed not to. Have you packed everything you need?
Got the 2 bags right here, but there's still some stuff left at the Hakamichi's. I can pick that up while we wait there for tomorrow. I can pick that up while we wait there for tomorrow's evening flight, though.
Akira gives the large 2 black... Akira gives the 2 large black traveling bags on the floor a hearty pat. She probably came to help pack and make sure everything was in order on Lily's end before going together with her.
Lily, will you be okay over there?
I'll be alright, I assure you. I'll have Akira looking after me as well, and you know that she's reliable.
But...
Don't worry, Hanako. I have your phone number after all, so we can stay in touch with Akira's help. Oh, with Akira's help, I could send you things over the internet as well.
Hey, don't use me just because you won't learn how to use a computer.
Hanako and Lily both giggle briefly, the mood lightening ever so little. That goes for you too, though, 𝐒𝐴𝐜𝐿. I promise I'll contact you once I'm in I can read, chat. That goes for you too, though, 𝐒𝐴𝐜𝐿. I promise I'll contact you once I'm in Scotland. I know. I'll be looking forward to it. Her offer may be kind, but we both know that this is tantamount to breaking up. Neither of us has any illusions as to how well we'd manage a long-distance relationship. With nary a word of prompting, the 4 of us begin the long, solemn walk to the school gate. The numerous lamps scattered around the Yamaku grounds fail to do much more than provide pinpoints of light in an otherwise dense darkness. A car parked on the road just outside the school grounds comes into view, its shining black exterior reflecting the dimly lit lamps of Yamaku. I call out to Akira in an effort to alleviate a bit of the heavy atmosphere.
That your car? What kind is it? Don't know much about cars, do ya? It's a Lancer Evo, solid and speedy.
Well, it's not as if her comment on my knowledge is off the mark. I've never really taken an interest in them. She gives a small sigh.
She's been good. Pity I have to part with it tomorrow. Just like the summer house. You guys were the last to visit it before it changed hands.
Turning back from my rather faulty attempt at small talk, I glance at Hanako and Lily following behind us. By rights, Hanako should be leading Lily, but it's rather definitely the other way around as she clings tightly to Lily's arm. It's a depressing sight.
So, I guess this is it.
Indeed. Although the time for everyone to say their farewells is now, nobody really wants to take the first step. It's as if the longer nobody speaks, the better the chances of them simply not leaving.
Lily, do you really have to go?
I'm sorry, Hanako. I won't be leaving you forever, though. I can still call you. 𝐒𝐴𝐿 will still be here as well.
I nod, but Hanako just clutches all the tighter to Lily's arm. After spending so long without anyone to call family, it must be excruciating to have to say goodbye to the one person that was as close to a mother as anyone could have been in her life. Lily lets out a long, sad breath. All Akira and I can really do is stand by quietly on the sidelines, since the only person that can solve this would be Lily herself. Eventually, Lily pulls her arm from Hanako's grip and holds both of her shoulders gently. A much more decisive way of address than I've ever seen Lily take with her. Hanako, remember when we first met? When you entered my room for the first time after overhearing my consoling of a friend, you didn't say a single word for the entire night. Even as I poured you tea and talked, you sat silently and simply listened to what I said. It took many quiet meetings like that before you began to open up to me. But as you began to, I felt some of the happiest moments I've ever felt. I didn't become your friend because I pitied you, Hanako. I became your friend because I knew you were hiding not just from me, but from everyone. Your ambitions, personality, interests, tastes. I didn't know any of them, and neither did anybody else. As you showed yourself to me, though, I began to realize the person that you were, and became sure that our meeting was a very special moment.
But
Lily cuts her words short as she begins to bring her hand to Hanako's head, and
One second. All good. Okay.
Lily cuts her words short as she brings her hand to Hanako's head and brushes her bangs to the side, gently pressing her lips to Hanako's forehead. As she pulls her head back, leaving Hanako all but speechless.
Fucking Christ, that scared me. Holy shit. Come here. Jesus Christ. Fucking dog reverb. Jesus Christ. Jesus fucking Christ. Okay, I'm just gonna take this as a moment to read the super chats and stuff. Jesus.